Welkom in Muziekgebouw aan het IJ. And welcome to the boat review of the TU Delft Hydromotion Team 2026. My name is Joppe den Breeën. Normally I'm the project manager of the team, but tonight I'll be your host. Speaking about the team, let's meet them. Here they are. We are 26 students, all from different backgrounds. And this year we started in August and set ourselves a goal of the year. This goal we call the scope. And our scope is to be the first ever to win the Monaco Sea Lab 2026 with a boat powered by liquid hydrogen. For those who aren't familiar with the Monaco Sea Lab, it's a race hosted by the Yacht Club of Monaco that is for student teams who have built their own prototype on sustainable fuels. We started our journey in August and set our goal. Then we went on to realize our goal. First, we had to make a design. This design we presented in December. For those who have missed that, I'll go over it once again so everybody knows what we're talking about tonight. When you've made a design, of course, you need to make it reality. And for that, we started gathering the pieces. This we did during the production phase. We started making our own parts or ordering parts. In the end, we gathered them all and we could put the puzzle together in the assembly phase. We brought all the pieces to Delft. And in Delft, we assembled our own boat. The boat we'll reveal tonight. We're not there yet, because after you've built a boat, you're not sure if it works or if it can race. And that's why we're currently testing our boat. But we made a small break in testing to show it to you guys. When we have tested our boat and optimized it during this final phase, we are ready to go to Monaco from the 8th till the 11th of July. Now, as promised, I'll quickly go over the design. Here you see our boat from a top view. And we start with our hydrogen, which our boat is powered by. We have a gaseous hydrogen compartment, hydrogen under pressure, and our liquid hydrogen compartment. This is hydrogen under a very cold temperature. These two hydrogen storages lead to our fuel cell. This converts hydrogen into electricity. This electricity output we balance with the buffer, a big battery in the front of the boat. And this diverts the power all the way to the back to our motor, to which a propeller is connected, and that way we can sail. The last big part of our boat is the cockpit, home to two people, a pilot and a co-pilot. And a pilot, you might ask, it's a boat. But no, our boat has wings. We have two wings, and these wings allow our boat to fully lift out of the water when at high speeds. This reduces drag by over 50%. With this boat, we started our production phase. But I won't tell you about that. I want to introduce our next speaker. And for that, I want everybody to stomp their feet as hard as you can. Welcome for a boy who has a passion for carbon and resin. He's a blonde-haired boat builder. He loves everything that touches the water. Please give it up for Wouter Bakker.
Good evening, everybody. So, designing a boat is one thing, but actually building it with those 26 students, considering practical limitations, strict deadlines, and limited resources, that's where things got really interesting. Seeing our boat come to life from the first pieces of carbon fiber placed in the mold to the last line of code written in our software was really an amazing experience for all of us, and I think you guys in the front can empathize it. So, tonight I'm going to show you how we went from just a few drawings on paper to the world's first liquid hydrogen-powered raceboat in just a few months. And to do this, I'm going to split up our boat into 4 systems: the hull, the foiling system, the hydrogen system, and the computers and software. So let's take a closer look to the hull. So our hull is a carbon fiber reinforced polymer, but what does that actually mean? So to make it, you need roughly 3 materials. First, you need some very tiny, strong fibers woven into fabrics. And here you actually see our host Joppe cutting them. So we mainly used carbon fibers since they are the strongest fibers, and thus you can make your boat as light as possible. But we also experimented with some other fibers, flax fibers. And these fibers come from natural resources, and therefore it's much more sustainable. And it was actually really cool to see that also these fibers can be implemented in maritime applications. So we, for example, use it in our dashboard and some of the hatches. So these fibers are very thin, but we want to give our hull some thickness, so that is why we add some foam in between the layers. And now everything needs to be glued together, and that is what's done with resin, some type of glue. So now we have the materials, but we have to get them into the shape of a boat, of course. And that is done with a mold. It's basically a big bathtub with the shape of our boat carved out of it. So let's split the mold in half and take a cross-section look at the production process. So the first steps are actually quite simple. We start by adding the first layers of carbon fiber in the mold, and that looks something like this. Then we continue with the layers of foam, and another few layers of carbon fiber. And it looks something like this. But now we want to make sure that these fibers follow the exact shape of the mold, to be sure that the shape of the boat is very precise. And it is done by adding a vacuum bag. And those tubes you see on the top left and right, they are connected to a vacuum pump. And once this is turned on, it will remove all the air from the vacuum bag, and thus it will press it nicely in the mold. But now we still have to glue everything together. But I mean, the vacuum bag is on, so we can't reach it. So the trick is that we use the vacuum infusion process. And the idea of it is that you basically want the resin to flow underneath the vacuum bag between all the fibers. So to do this, actually before we put on the vacuum bag, we add a flow mesh and another tube. Well, and this tube here in the middle is connected to a container with resin. And once the vacuum pump is turned on, the resin will flow from this tube past all the fibers and gluing everything in place. Well, now we just have to wait about 24 hours to let the resin cure, and then it's time to remove the vacuum bag and the flow mesh and the tubes, and we are left with our boat. And then we can finally take it out of the mold. So this looks all fine in theory, of course, but let's now take a look at the time lapse to see how this actually went in real life. So here you see us working in a very big shipyard where large sailboats are being constructed. And right now we are working to place the first layers of carbon fiber in the mold. This is a quite precise step, especially the first layers, because you want them to have them as neatly as possible in there. And then when this is done, it's time to add the foam layer. And these are already pre-made panels, and they're already curved. And it's basically just then making a very big puzzle. Well, once this is done, it's time to add the other few layers of carbon fiber to finish up the sandwich structure. Then it's time to add the flow mesh to make it possible for the infusion, and also to add all the tubes. And the tubes, they basically have the same shape as the veins of a leaf. You will just see in a minute. Well, and then it's time for probably the most careful step of the process, and that's adding the vacuum bag. Because you shouldn't damage the vacuum bag, because otherwise the vacuum won't be as tight, and thus your boat won't be as lightweight as possible. Once the vacuum is secured, it's time for the most beautiful step out of the process. So once we open the tap, you see all the resin flow through all the fibers and gluing them in the correct spot. Now it's just a matter of waiting. It was 24 hours, not 3 seconds here. And well, then you remove the materials and you're left with the outside shell of our boat. But of course, our boat is not only an outside shell, it needs some internal structure. First of all, because it has to be able to withstand all the forces acted upon it. But also you want to compartmentalize your boat because it's more safe at sea, and you should be able to mount all your parts in it, like the fuel cell, the liquid tank, etc. Well, this is kind of a careful job, and once this is all finished, you apply some ropes to it, you get the crane ready to lift it, and then you finally take it out of the mold. So this mold release, as we call it, was a true team activity. We all gathered together and came to the facility to take a look at how it actually looked and see our boat come to life for the first time. And it was also really cool to see that our design really came to life, and we could already envision how our parts, which were simultaneously being built in Delft, could fit in. And of course, it was also a very good excuse to take another nice team picture. So now the boat was ready to take it back to Delft to start the assembly phase. And actually, the first thing we did in the assembly phase was to wrap the boat, to give it the looks it currently has. And of course, I'm not going to show you here in the picture how it looks. It's the boat reveal after all today. So we would like to invite you to join us outside after this presentation, where we're going to reveal the boat to you tonight. Of course, it takes much more than just a hull to make the world's first liquid hydrogen-powered raceboat. So let's take a look at the foiling system. Because, as Job already said, we want to make our boat fly. And in this picture here, you see the boat of last year, probably familiar to some of the faces here. And you see it fly. So, to make a boat fly, you roughly need 3 parts. And the first part you already see here in this picture, which are basically the legs it is standing on, here in black. We call them the struts. And in this picture here on the right, or on your left, you see our rear strut. And actually on the bottom, there you see a small shaft sticking out, and that is where our propeller will be mounted. And then on the left, you see or on your right, you see one of our front set being fitted in for the first time in the mold, in our boat. Of course, it takes much more than just struts. So our wings, or foils, we call them, are connected on the bottom of these struts. And an airplane, of course, doesn't have only wings. It also needs speed to be able to fly. So that is where our driveline system comes in. This connects an electric motor through shafts, bearings, and gears to the propeller. And of course, not as simple as just these 3 parts. For example, you should be able to steer your boat. You should be mounting your electric motor properly. And think, for example, that you have to actuate the angle of your foils to guarantee stable flight. So we now have a hull which is also able to fly, but this takes, of course, energy. And that is where our hydrogen system comes in. So we store hydrogen, our energy carrier, in 2 ways. And the first way is to compress it to very high pressures and store it in the gaseous phase. And we do that by storing it in the gas tank, just like that one on stage. And here you actually see us installing it in the boat. And the second way how we store hydrogen is by cooling it down to very low temperatures and store it in a liquid phase. In this tank you see here on the slides, or here on stage. And this is actually our big innovation of this year, and my colleague Daan is going to tell you much more about this in just a few minutes. Then we not only have to store this energy, of course, but we also have to do something with it to get the energy out of it. And that's done in the fuel cell, where we convert the hydrogen into electricity to be able to power the motor. And after careful testing, we could also finally install this part in the boat. And again, this system is also not as simple as just 2 tanks and a fuel cell. Think, for example, that you should have piping in your boat to get the hydrogen from the tanks to the fuel cell. But this, for example, also takes to add pressure regulators and safety valves, etc. And you, for example, need a big battery to work together with your fuel cell to be able to power the motor. So if you have any questions about these systems in specific, or just a general question about our project, feel free to ask just one of us after we revealed the boat outside during the drinks. So it seems now that we have everything for a foiling liquid hydrogen-powered boat, but we are actually still missing a very important part, and that is the computers and software. Because all these systems, we have to monitor them, we have to actuate them and sense them. So that is why we built our own computers, and we write our own software. And once these computers are built, we can mount them into watertight boxes, and these boxes are then installed in our boat. But these computers as well, they have to be able to talk to each other and talk to the sensors, etc. So that is why we install a lot of watertight cables in our boat, as you can see here on your right. So now I've talked about what it actually takes to build the world's first liquid hydrogen-powered raceboat. But to even show you this better, we would like to show you a video in which this is going to be explained in even more detail. Enjoy.
Well, I hope this gave you a nice insight in how we actually made our own raceboat. We also want to give you a more close feel to the actual challenges we faced this year and the solutions we actually came up with. A few subsystems that we are most proud of. And for that, I want to introduce the next speaker. So if everybody can stomp their feet again. We have a guy who built his own battery and he drives our trailers. He's a hydrogen expert and he likes to make jokes. Here's our chief powertrain, Daan Buitenhuis.
Well, thank you, Joppe, for the amazing introduction. We as a team are not only here to build a very cool boat, which we like a lot, but we are also here to inspire the maritime sector and to show new technologies to the world. So that is why we innovate. And I am here today to highlight two of our main innovations we have been working on this year. The first one being liquid hydrogen. You can see it in front of the Dream Hall behind me right now. But you might be wondering, what is liquid hydrogen? Why would you even want to use it? So that's what I'm going to explain to you right now. For our race in Monaco, we need to be able to sail for 3 hours straight at full power. And to do this with batteries, you would need about that size of a battery, and it would weigh 2,000 kilograms, which is even more than our full boat weighs. So it is very nice, and it's a very good opportunity to use something different, a different material. And we use hydrogen. Hydrogen in and of itself isn't as energy dense as we would like it to be. So you can make it energy dense in two ways. The first way is by compressing it. And that's what we do within the gaseous hydrogen tank. We compress it to 350 bars. And it allows us to store 8 kilograms of hydrogen within this tank. But the second way is to store it in its liquid phase. You don't have to compress it at all to store it in its liquid phase. But still, 8 kilograms of hydrogen is stored within this liquid hydrogen tank. The main advantage of liquid hydrogen is therefore its size. So compare that tank to that tank, and you will see why you would want to use liquid hydrogen. But there's a big but, and that's the boiling point of liquid hydrogen. That's the biggest challenge we are facing, because hydrogen is liquid only if it is at or below minus 253 degrees Celsius. Any heat that enters the tank of this cold substance makes the hydrogen evaporate. Evaporation is quite normal. I think you see it daily when boiling your potatoes or your eggs. The water inside of your boiling pan turns into steam. And this steam is a gas. And that's exactly the same thing as what happens to hydrogen when heat leaks in. But storing this inside of a tank will make the pressure increase. And that's not what we want. This is quite an abstract story I am telling you now. So to explain it a bit more in detail, I have brought an experiment with me. And my assistant Bulo will bring it in right now. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring in liquid hydrogen today. So that's why I brought in dry ice. You can see it in the top right here. Dry ice is minus 70 degrees. And liquid hydrogen is minus 253 degrees. So there's quite a big difference there already. Nice. So this tank is now also minus 70 degrees Celsius. That's why I'm wearing these gloves also. And to your guys' left, you can see a big tub of water, which is 60 degrees Celsius. This makes a temperature difference of 130 degrees. So what we expect is if we take this tank and put it into a way warmer environment, we expect the pressure to increase, but only if we keep the volume constant. That's what I'm doing by closing this valve, if it wants to. Yes, it wants to. So now I'm going to take this tank and place it into the warm environment, and we expect the balloon to blow up. And that's exactly what you are seeing now, and I will help speed up this process by pouring a bit of water on top. So as you can see, the pressure inside of the tank increases immensely. If this were to be liquid hydrogen, by the way, this pressure increase would be 40 times as large as what you're seeing right now. And how we manage this is by taking out a bit of the hydrogen. And that's what I can demonstrate by opening this valve. I'll put the mic quite close to the valve so you can hear it as well. So you can take hydrogen out of the tank, this is obvious. But what you don't want to do, I'll keep it open, otherwise it will go up again. What you don't want to do is vent this out in the atmosphere, because it will be quite a waste. So what we do this year is we take the hydrogen and put it into this thing. And this thing, it is a fuel cell. It's very like the big fuel cell we are using to power our full boat, but this one is smaller, way lighter, and it's better suited for this application. So we can not waste hydrogen, and we can also keep the pressure in the tank down, which is very desirable. But I told you I was going to take you through two innovations. So Boele will take away this now. I'll give you this as well. And the second innovation is within the foiling department. We know what foiling is now, but to your guys' left, you see how foiling has been done for quite a few years by the Hydromotion team, and it has been done by using 3 wings. So the back wing is used to lift up the back of the boat, and the front 2 wings are used to lift up the front of the boat. But one thing is very important, and that is to control the roll of the boat. So that's how much the boat moves left to right. And on the left, this is done by actuating the one foil more than the other. But using 2 foils has 2 points where inefficiencies may lie. So what if you were to connect this foil in the middle and create one big wing? This would create a very efficient wing, and it would also be a bit stronger. But this eliminates the control of roll I just talked about. That's why you would need flaps within this boat. But this is hard to produce, because you would need a moving part within a moving part. But this year, we have taken the opportunity and really tried, and we managed to make a big front foil with integrated flaps. And that's what my other assistant and Boele again have brought to stage for you right now. So the 2 wings in front of the last boat are used to move the boat up. This can be done by actuating the full wing. So this will make the full boat and the foil also go up. But for roll control, we have these integrated flaps. Right now you can see they are disattached, but if you go outside, I know it will look very cool. This is used for roll control. So thank you guys. So now I hope I have taught you something extra about some basic physics. And I hope you learned a lot from me and about the innovations we have done this year.
Well, I hope these demonstrations gave you a little bit of an insight in the technical challenges that we face. Of course, I can keep asking team members on the stage, and they will keep telling you about this boat. But I think it's also good to set our own project in a bigger perspective. And for this, we have a guest speaker tonight. I actually want to ask him here on stage, so if everybody can stomp their feet one more time. We have a guy who has represented the Netherlands 2 times at the Olympic Games, a 3 times world champion, a supporter of hydromotion, an entrepreneur in boating, and a big supporter of hydrogen to the maritime sector. Hier is Herbert Derksen. Well, Herbert, you are a sailor. You represented the Netherlands at the Olympic Games, as we can see in the picture. What have you learned as an athlete that you profit from every day now?
Well, it's funny to see this picture again. That's been in 2004 Olympics. That is in the prehistory. So it's a long time ago. But yes, I did do the Olympics. I've learned a lot there. And most of the things that you learn in the Olympic sailing is that you should never give up. That's the one and the only thing. Everything falls to shit. You still go on. Show must go on. I think that's the most important thing to keep doing. I've done it twice. I've done it in '96. I've done it in 2004. And obviously there's one Olympics in the middle. I was 16 years in the Olympic team. I was qualified for the 2000 Olympics, but I didn't go. So why didn't I go? We were qualified, but we could not win a medal. So at the end we said we should not go there. It's not a holiday. We should just go and make sure that we have a real chance of winning. And the team fell apart. It was actually a student from the TU Delft. He was actually studying back then, and he said, okay, I'm going to continue on my path in doing things in real life, not only going sailing. I want to go into the business, and he joined that, and that's basically why we skipped that Olympics.
And you did the same. In 2007, you stopped sailing, and then you started to make, just like us, your own boat, except your sails. Here we see one. What have you learned when you were building your own boat?
Well, it's a good question. Again, if you think about what you guys are doing, it's very similar. But this was all done with my own money. And I didn't have any money. So we convinced Volvo Ocean Race to actually put the money in. So we were part of the Volvo Ocean Race. We were the in-port entertainment. We promised that we were going to go sailing with a lot of clients. And we were going to say to them, you know, this is what is sailing all about, and they could enjoy the experience. And we were there, and we said we had 5 boats sold. We had none sold. Still convinced Volvo Ocean Race to give us the name. So it was called the Volvo Extreme 40. And because it was a Volvo Extreme 40, other sponsors came by and said, okay, we're actually interested because that's an interesting platform. We can use that. But to cut a long story short, no money, convinced Volvo, got in the end sponsors on board. I really had many times where I thought, this is not going to happen, it's not going to work. Back then I was still studying. But we actually borrowed money to start building the molds. And from start building the molds, we ended up actually starting to get some traction. And all of a sudden, Volvo came on board, the money came, the first molds could be finished with that money from that specific sponsor. Then the next boat got sold so we could actually build the first one.
Yeah.
So that's called a Ponzi scheme. But at the end of the day, we had to make it work.
So you had quite a rough start building a boat.
Well, but that's the way it goes.
Even when the boat was there, you might have had a setback. I found one. Can you tell us about how you handled the setbacks?
Well, but this is already when everything was built. But at the end of the day, you had 5 boats sold, and there were 5 teams running in the Volvo Ocean Race. Yes, this is me capsizing it. The one that is actually falling on the trampoline, I'm holding on, but the guy who's falling on the trampoline is actually the designer. So he found out there was not enough buoyancy in the front, and that the boat and catamaran could actually capsize. So yes, you have setbacks, you have things that go wrong, but you know, after a bad day like this, you come back to the truck, which was basically a big truck that we had where we were selling all the parts. So if a boat capsizes, something breaks. And as an entrepreneur, you want to actually then provide new parts and sell on. And I was actually sailing that race, and we actually didn't break anything, but the other boats broke a lot. I had a bad day, yes, and it didn't go well. But others had much worse days. They broke all kind of masts, they broke dagger boards, but they came to the truck, bought them from me. So I had a very good day at the end of the day financially. Not necessarily sailing-wise, but financially, yes. So, you know, sometimes it's not always as good maybe on the sporting side, but definitely on the financial side it was good.
Yeah.
But this is actually hurting your ego, I tell you.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one small advice. If that happens with your boat, when you come off the foils, dive in. That's an option. In the bigger waves, Monaco can be pretty tough. So be aware of that.
We'll see.
I hope I'm not going to show a picture from you guys after Monaco.
Okay. More recently, you've also been involved in a more hygiene-related project, close to us as well. You actually provided a refueling station at Sail here in Amsterdam. Can you tell us a bit why you wanted to work on this project?
Yeah. After the catamarans, I started a business for basically building superyacht tenders. So we were building the smaller boats for the big superyachts. In the beginning, we had no idea why we were going that way, and we didn't even know if we were going into superyachts. I came from the sailing. We were always using ribs in the sailing world, and we thought that would be enough money. But at the end of the day, in the sailing world is not so much money, in the superyacht world where the money was. So our product was designed, organized, built for a different market, and we ended up in the superyacht world. Being in the superyacht world, being in hydrogen, being in alternative energies, we basically said to ourselves, if we're doing that, can we do something at sail where we can bring the full chain together? What does that mean? You first have to produce the hydrogen. You can do that by electricity, and then going through an electrolyzer. That's what we've done. We've done that with a partner, and they basically provided the hydrogen by creating it with the electrolyzer. Then we had the storage. We could do the storage there in hydrogen, so that we can do it the other way around, electricity, bring it back. When the hydrogen was created, we basically had a fueling station, what you see here. So this was one of the last, we actually also built a boat on hydrogen, but it was just a very tiny fuel cell, the one you just saw, and it was just an electric boat with a fuel cell creating energy. But that was the whole chain. And obviously, we said everybody can come and fuel. So we had the Hydromotion team come and fuel during sail, and we had also the boat from Bubba Orkels, who was actually there, and Ecolution, and they actually have been fueling up as well. Yeah. So we made it work. It maybe didn't get that much exposure, but we had the full chain from start to finish, from producing it to actually basically using it and actually making a boat move.
Yeah.
That was the whole idea.
That's how you participated in this bigger picture of hydrogen. What do you think of our project with our liquid hydrogen? How do we fit in that bigger picture from your perspective as an outsider?
The thing what you guys are doing is pure innovation. And I think you are the front runners of the new possibilities, new methods, trying. I think it's ridiculous that you're not getting any student points for this, by the way. Maybe some people from the TU Delft. These guys are spending their own money for the whole year, and they don't get even a student point for it. So sure, you get support from companies for the money. I'm one of them, but in a different way. But you know, the thing is that even you don't get any students for it, it sounds a bit strange to me. But you are the pioneers. You're doing things in a different way. You think in a different way. You do everything. I asked you actually before that, before the whole interview or before the discussion, we said to each other, why are you building a boat? Because you could use the boat from last year. It would have been easy. You shouldn't have built it. No, everybody wants to build a boat. Everybody wants to be knowing what the full chain is. That's what we did during sail, and that's what you guys are doing the same thing. And I really do believe that gives you all the momentum where you're going through. And sure, you change a little bit and you do things a little bit different foil, different boat. But at the end of the day, you still have to make something move through the water. And you will get the waves, you'll get the disappointments, you'll have the problems with your foiling system, you'll have the problems with your fuel cell. But if you find the solutions for it and not giving up, you'll succeed.
Okay. Then I do have one thing to ask. At start, we heard you're an experienced sailor, and we actually have a race coming up in 2 months. So could you give our team one last advice before we go to the race?
Yes, I will definitely give you an advice. I think the biggest advice I can give you is, first of all, not give up. Make sure that you think the process that you're doing, while you're racing, do it as you learned it. Don't do it all of a sudden different because it's a race. You've learned something, went through the process, make sure that you do it the same way. And forget about what the result will be. Because if you're only doing the best you have tried to do, and what you've learned, and what you've been doing together, do it as a team, do it all in the same procedures, you will see what the outcome will be. Whether it's good or bad. If you've done your best, that's all you can do.
Okay,
good luck.
Thank you. Everybody give it one more time up for Herbert. Thanks. Now that we've put our project, our team in a bigger perspective, got some advice for the race, we also want to explain the race and the upcoming period a bit more to you guys. And for that, I want to introduce you to the last speaker of the evening. So one more time, stomp your feet, Here is a very innovative brain. She's the happiest team member. She isn't afraid of the machines, and her aluminium has a golden touch. Hier is Lotte van Gerven.
Thank you, Joppe, for that introduction. I will pick it up where we are currently in, the testing phase. We have put our boat to the water a few weeks ago, and we do that in Dordrecht. It's very nice, close to Delft. So, the testing phase. There are the following steps. We start with a very important test. When we put it in the water, will our boat actually float? I can assure you, yes it does. Okay, and then the serious testing. We will look at the safety, because safety first, otherwise we can't sail. Once everything is checked and checked and checked again, we will start sailing electrically. Power will run through our boat, and all mechanical parts will for the first time move. Once we have completed that part, we will go tanking and sail for the first time on gaseous hydrogen. The fuel cell will come into play now, the piping, the cooling, everything. And then we will sail for the first time on liquid hydrogen in the next phase. And last but not least, we will make our boat fly during the foiling phase of the testing. And tonight I will also test you guys, if you've been paying attention and maybe know even a little bit more about the boat, which we have not told you yet. So I will ask you some questions in the meantime. We will first practice one. So this question is very easy. What is my name? To give an answer, you will put your hand up if you think my name is Lotte, and you'll keep your hand down if you think my name is Daan. So, what do you think? Okay, I see all of your hands, very good. Yes, my name is Lotte. Okay, so, what are we testing for? Just as Joppe already told you, we're testing for Monaco. And based on the 4 challenges in Monaco, I will explain what components we test and why they're important for that specific race. So, the 4 challenges are the maneuverability race, speed, endurance, and the 60 nautical miles. We will start with the maneuverability. In this course, the team that finishes the fastest wins. There are a couple of tight turns, and we need to even park backwards. So it's very important that our steering mechanism works really well, and that we've tested it completely. To remind you, this is our boat, and we will zoom in on the back strut. To steer, we will rotate this back strut, and we will also stress test it and make sure it reacts fast enough to the steering wheel. We turn this by a certain amount of degrees, but how many degrees can our back strut turn? Hands up for 90 degrees, and hands down for 180 degrees. Okay? I see a couple of hands, but it's 180 degrees. In the render, it looked like it was 90 degrees, but we can go 90 degrees to the left and 90 degrees to the right with our struts. Okay, so in the next challenge, which is a speed challenge, we will try to get to our top speed. We are a racing team, after all. Our top speed is 54 kilometers an hour. To get to that speed, we need to have as little resistance as possible. So, we will be testing the foiling for this race. Because as all the people before me already told you, foiling leads to less drag. We also need a lot of power during this race. Our power comes from the fuel cell and the battery. We have made this battery ourselves. It's a big battery containing multiple little battery cells. And our fuel cell is our main source of power. It's in the middle of the boat. And testing this was also very important because we have a hybrid system. We have very different pressures that those gas tanks work on. So our fuel cell needs to be able to handle that wide range. So testing that was very important. We both did that before it went into the boat. So our top speed but how much horsepower do you think we will need to reach 54 kilometers an hour? Hands up for 65 and hands down for 150 horsepower. Okay, and the answer is 65 horsepower. The 150 horsepower is not a random number. A boat of a similar size and a similar weight will need at least 150 horsepower to reach the 54 kilometers per hour. But we don't, because we foil. And then in the next challenge, we can really show the power of hydrogen. During the endurance race, we will be sailing as many laps as possible in the course of 3 hours. The hydrogen system has been tested a lot as well to make sure it doesn't leak. All the components will work at the right pressure and they will activate when we want them to and don't when we don't want them to. So, in our tanks, the gas tank and the liquid hydrogen tank, there is enough fuel for us to sail for 360 kilometers. But now I'm going to test if you guys were paying attention when my colleague Dan was talking about liquid hydrogen. Because he was talking a lot about the boiling point. But what is the boiling point of liquid hydrogen? Hands up for minus 241 degrees Celsius and hands down for minus 253 degrees Celsius. Okay, it's nice to see that you've been paying attention. Because yes, it's minus 253 degrees Celsius. And in the last race, the 60 nautical mile, we will be traveling for 60 nautical miles. From Monaco to Italy, we will cross the border. And even though communication is always important, during this race, we will not only use VHF radio and 5G, we will also use satellite connection to keep in contact with our pilots. And so we never lose touch with them. Besides that, we will also be on the open waters. There will be a lot of waves, and the water will hit our foil in a different way every single second. So that means that we need to actuate our foils to make sure it's still a steady flight and not a bumpy one. Our pilots will thank us for that. So that we will always also test that we can actuate our foils fast enough at the right amount of power. So 60 nautical miles. How many kilometers is that actually? So hands up for 29.6 and hands down for 43.4. Okay, so there are a lot of people with calculators in their pockets because yes, it's 29.6. Okay, and so then we have tested everything to complete all these 4 challenges. And we can go to Monaco with a lot of confidence with our boat. With so much confidence even, that we might win. Thank you.
Well, I hope this presentation gave you a nice insight in how we actually made our boat, showed you the technical challenges we're facing and our solutions for them. I hope we also showed a bigger picture of what our team is contributing to the entire world of hydrogen or to the entire maritime industry. We also hopefully explained the last steps we have to take to hopefully win in Monaco. And it's crazy to think that we can have a boat review tonight, because 9 months ago we had nothing. I didn't even know any of my teammates. But that we have a boat right now is not only thanks to my teammates, but is also thanks to our partners. I've counted them, and we have over 130 this year. Yes. And over 130 partners they help us with everything. All aspects of the project. You can think about their technical expertise or their feedback to make our operations safer for our teammates, for ourselves. But they have also helped us getting high quality parts that we actually put in our boat. All these things are very nice for our boat, for our project. But the partners also bring a second thing, and that is that they bring us a connection with the real world. Through our partners, 130 of them, we have more places we can go, more people we meet, and that also gives us more room to inspire. So our partners allow us to inspire more and allow us to innovate more in the maritime sector, but also beyond. Now, I won't keep you any longer in suspension. I want everybody to stay seated for now, and the team to stand up so they can go outside. Okay. The rest of you can shortly follow afterwards. We'll gather everyone in the main hall, and there Pepe will speak a bit before we reveal the boat, and afterwards baptize it. You're free to go.
But the biggest thanks to this team that is standing here. I think that every single team member has put in so much work, and all that work is here behind you to make sure that you can see it. And we don't want to hide it no longer for you anymore. So without further ado, I will present to you the vote of the team of 2026. boats, and that is to christen them. So that is to wish the boat and its crew safe travels. So make sure that you can see the boat. Now I'm going to walk outside because that honor is also for me. So see you in a bit. Oh my. And a good competition. May you be an inspiration for next generation of boating. Carbon fuel.
This week.